Well, we are just hours after the guilty plea by the man you see there on the left, Michael Flynn. Listen to this. NBC News, speaking with two people familiar with the matter, tell us Jared Kushner is the very senior member of the presidential transition team mentioned in the statement of offense as speaking to Michael Flynn on December 22nd about the UN resolution regarding Israel. Let me bring in Ari Melber. What's the significance here?
This is a significant report here. NBC News confirming that this unidentified reference to material that Mike Flynn admits he now lied about is a direct invocation of Jared Kushner. It puts Jared Kushner in the line of coordination or plotting with the Russians about diplomacy goals at the UN and raises the question of how high these orders came. When you have a senior advisor to the president, when you have a family member of the president and known as one of his closest confidants from the campaign, Jared Kushner, it says A, he's involved in something Mueller's investigating, and it says B, was Jared Kushner speaking on behalf of the president of the United States.
What are the implications first for Jared Kushner?
This, I would say, and I will say this carefully,
yes,
raises questions of criminal exposure regarding the underlying acts. What I mean by that is Mike Flynn was lying to the FBI about his dealings with Russia for certain goals. Number one, easing the sanctions that were put in place by Barack Obama's administration over Russian meddling, and number two, goals that regarded Middle East diplomacy at the UN, including direct contacts with Russia. So if any of those underlying acts were charged, and as we've been reporting, those were not charged today, there may have been exposure for Flynn, but he cooperated. He reached a deal on them. But if those underlying acts are being investigated for potential criminal activity by the special counsel, well, we know Flynn was involved now. He's basically admitted to lying about it. And now our sources are telling NBC News that Kushner was involved. Doesn't mean we know where it ends, but it is what investigators would look at as whether those underlying acts, whether those contacts were at all part of illegal conduct. That could be anything ranging from a violation of the Logan Act, because private citizens under federal law are not supposed to undermine U.S. policy. Sounds straightforward, rarely prosecuted, but it is a law, to the kind of allegations you get around whether there were quid pro quos or some sort of deal with any other foreign nations that was not legal.
So we should also say that there were a couple of mentions of senior transition officials. Now, those mentions could both be Jared Kushner potentially, right? Or it could be some other member of the transition team, but a very senior or at a senior level.
Right. And
which
look,
is a very small group of people.
It's a very small group of people, and I would observe this, having reported on this case for some time, as you have. Bob Mueller doesn't speak through the press. He doesn't leak. He speaks only through the actions of these lawful materials, in this case, these informations and these other lawful documents that come out, which is under the laws. These have to come out. That's the only reason they're out. They're the one thing that has to come out in the course of when you have a cooperating agreement or you go before a judge, because we have open courts. So I think it is very notable, this breaking news that you've just reported on air from NBC News, that Bob Mueller has put these people, without naming them, in here. He's put these people here for a reason. He is starting to tell a story, and the story is that Mike Flynn didn't act alone. That's part of the story that we see today.